Begin Within Ministries proudly presents Sofa Sundays with your hosts, Reverend Dr. Michelle Izuku and Reverend Jeannie Sovereigns. Sundays at 11 a.m. Arizona time and rebroadcast on Mondays at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Come join us on the sofa every Sunday morning. Sofa Sundays with Michelle and Jeannie. Learn more at www.beginwithinministries.com. In partnership with New Thought Media Network.
Good morning! Woo-woo! Happy day after Valentine's Day. Now I have to check our volume. Yes, we are working. Good deal. All right, that's my biggest concern always because, you know, when the volume doesn't work, I solve world problems. Every time. I can't tell you the amount of things we have solved on the sofa when the volume goes out. But of course, I can't tell you because, you know, volume's out. Yeah. So that's the thing. Well, welcome to Sofa Sundays. I'm Reverend Jeannie Sovereigns, and my guest today is my good friend, Deborah Covington.
Hello. Pleased to be here.
I'm so glad
excited.
you're here.
So close.
Deb and I have a, I was going to say a routine, but that's not the word I want, where we go out to dinner. Like we have a thing that we do, and we go out to dinner and we close down these places from conversation. And I had to give my car away today, and my partner said, "Oh, I'll just wait till you come back." I said, that might be a while.
Yeah, our dinners were like 3 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours. Yes, they actually start cleaning up around us and putting the chairs up. So you know, there's that. So we are here at the Unleash Your Life Studios at 7220 North 16th Street in Phoenix, Arizona, building A1, and you'll know that because the girls are on the tour. And if you're in Phoenix, Arizona, you're never late to be on the sofa, so come on down. But if you're comfy where you are, we're glad you joined us here today. So I am going to pray us in, and we'll get started. So in this space, in this moment, in this divine presence that is the field of infinite possibilities, I know and speak my word as law, commanding that this time together is good, knowing and affirming that everything spoken and heard is exactly what is needed. What is shared is already done in the divine mind. And I speak my word for blessings upon leaders and teachers of all faiths and all cities, countries, throughout the world, that they are divinely guided, guarded, and protected. That our leaders of politics as well as religions dig down deep into the heart of compassion that they are to bring forth what is needed as we go forth at this time in this world. And for this I am so grateful. I am grateful for the compassion, for the love, for the joy, for this beautiful experience of life that is nothing less than perfect. And for this I say thank you, God, thank you, life, thank you, universe. And I let it go and I call it good. And together we say, and so it is. Compassion. Compassion. That's our theme today. Compassion opens doors to greater understanding. And we were talking a little bit about that beforehand. I mean, well, we've already been here an hour talking, so you've missed us solving the world problems as well. I just,
what's your take on how compassion changes things?
You know, it's interesting that you asked that, because when you let me know ahead of time that our talk was going to be centered around compassion, I tend to go on the internet and look up what the definition is. And I find it surprising that sometimes the definition that we are taught is not the same as what spiritually comes through. For instance, I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. Oxford Dictionary defines compassion as sympathetic pity and concern for the sufferings or misfortunes of others. Now, I don't see compassion.
Yeah.
I don't see compassion as pity.
No, neither do
I see compassion as, now I do agree with the concern, the word concern. For me, compassion is the concern for others, and recognizing that there is something deep that's going on within that person, good, bad, or indifferent, however I choose to feel about it, that is the basis of how that person is acting and talking.
Absolutely.
And that has been a huge shift for me when that, what I call the spiritual aspect of it, comes into play for me, to be able to look with an open mind towards other people and see what's going on, and then reflect how, back again, I always say it comes back to I'm reflecting myself on other people. So how is that reflection in alignment with me? What am I in alignment with?
Oh, yes. I agree, because that pity thing, that just doesn't resonate
No.
as far as what I consider compassion. Either, like, I look at compassion as that question to what is happening that is causing that pain, that hurt, so that someone is reacting, however, and now I am offering a love that is open in a way that says I'm a safe place.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
kind of how, like, I look at compassion, is that I want to be a safe place for someone who is hurting, and or something that is hurting.
Right.
You know, in this world today, like, I really try to, like, not go off on my soapbox tangent, but there is a lot of things happening where there are people hurting, right? We have thousands of witnesses for the Epstein files who are hurting.
Yes.
You know, there's this part of me that hurts because I have experienced molestation. So there's that part that identifies, and then there's that part of me that has healed, and then is above that wants them to have that closure, that healing, that experience of justice.
Right.
So yeah, I think for me right now, my heart is open and compassionate for that experience that we see unfolding. You know, that's a lot.
Yeah. Part of the compassion for me, it came through therapy, and recognizing that all perpetrators were victims first.
Oh, absolutely.
All of them.
They were groomed
Exactly.
because of that.
Exactly. That's where that term of compassion brings in, opens the door to understanding. Once I began to understand that, I went, oh, well, how can I be angry at that person? They were a victim too.
And this is how they've chose to respond
Exactly.
to the traumatic issues in their lives.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. That was one of the things, that compassion is the willingness to stay present long enough to see beneath the behavior into the pain.
Yes.
Woo!
Yeah.
To stay open long enough because it's very easy when people are reacting or responding in a way you don't like
Right.
to shut down,
Mm-hmm.
to judge,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
judgment locks that door. It does not open a door to compassion.
Right.
You know, and I almost brought keys with me today for that as an explanation, and we'll have a little experience and later on here that I'm going to take us through about opening doors. But exactly that, right, is that to open the door to compassion means that I have to be willing to let go of my reaction. Like you were saying
Yes.
about my reflection, about how I see something, and now I feel my own harm or trigger it. And I'm not saying to spiritually bypass it. Acknowledge.
No.
I acknowledge. I name it. I don't stay in that because it's necessary for me to move forward.
Right.
You know, so that's a big one for, and you know, I brought up probably the biggest thing that's happening, you know, that would activate my compassion. However, there are smaller things like when somebody, you know, cuts me off on traffic. Everybody on Sofa Sunday knows that I have road rage issues. No, I don't have rage, but I do have moments, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to where now I have to be, I don't know, maybe you're on the way to the doctor's because your wife's pregnant, you know, and she's having a baby. I don't know why you decided that. Maybe you're a DoorDasher who's going to lose their status if you don't get this particular order there on time. I don't know. I don't know why you felt the need to get in front of me, but you did. And I have such an issue with it sometimes, you know. And I hope that the people that I cut off have compassion for me.
Yes. One of the things that I wanted to share and what you're talking about that's going through my mind too is I focus a lot and I talk a lot about unconditional love. And unconditional love has many aspects to it. And compassion is probably one of the most powerful aspects of unconditional love. Because there's no way that I can unconditionally love anybody unless I am compassionate with myself first.
Self-compassion, yes.
And then that falls into and flows into compassion with other people, but it has to begin with the self first.
Yes.
You know, and like you said, I'm not always there.
Mhm.
I have moments of judging myself and going through all that stuff, you know, and I recognize that the longer that I am focused on this work, this practice, like you said, the less I stay there.
Yes.
It doesn't take me as long to recognize it right away and go, oh, wow, okay, and keeps me from reacting to it, lashing out. Sometimes I don't get it right away.
Right. Right. You know, and there's where I think about that. It's like, no, I don't always get it right away. I'm hungry, angry, lonely, tired. You know?
Yeah.
And I respond out of that, or I react out of that. And then I see, and that generally happens to my partner, you know, that who gets
Exactly.
that response from me. And then I see the reaction
Mm-hmm.
that is on her face, and I'm like, okay. And that's where self-compassion comes in. Okay, well, I created a little mess here.
Mhm.
So now, one, be okay. You made a mistake. You know, you
Yeah.
caused some harm. And say, I'm sorry, hon. I didn't
Yeah.
mean to. I would really love for us to get some food now so I can stop being, you know, or whatever
Yeah.
the case
Yeah.
may be, you know. But that is like when you can see another, and you brought this up earlier before we came online about being present. Now, you can't be compassionate if you're not present. If you're not in that moment, because you're not paying attention then to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
to others, to the atmosphere, the environment, whatever is happening. So that's the other thing that I see when I judge.
Mhm.
When I go into judgment, I really leave the present moment of actually what's happening, and then I add in what I think is the previous experience
to that person. You know, oh, that person's acting like that because they are blah, 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 whatever, you know. They're mad because I am tall. They're angry because they have to sit in an uncomfortable seat. Like, I start adding in stories of why they're wrong, you know, and I can't come up with, because I learned to stop doing that. So I
Right.
can't even come up with good stories anymore. But, you know, I start with that judgment and giving them all kinds of background that has nothing to do with them. It's
Exactly.
all my story.
Exactly.
And then I'm
Yes.
just like, whatever. And I'm totally out of the moment. I'm not present with this
Right.
person and not able to be compassionate for them or myself when I'm in judgment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that can be the wrecking ball of things when we judge others.
I like it when you said that judgment is a door closer.
It is. It really is. You know, it's like that deadbolt lock that we put on things. It's like, okay, because now we've just put somebody in a box.
Right.
There you go.
But what
You're
we're really doing is we're putting ourselves
ourselves in a box, right? Because there's only one.
Exactly.
There's only one of us here, one thing happening. And the individuation is having fun playing the game, right?
That's right.
That's where we're at there. One of the things that I was looking at was how with Ernest Holmes, compassion really goes with creativity, right? The creative intelligence that is. So if you're in science of mind or new thought process in general, the kind of idea behind it is that we operate in this reality that we create as individuals for ourselves, and that every emotion, every feeling, every thought that comes forth from us is created, whether you want it to or not,
Right.
whether you believe it or not.
Yeah. You don't have to believe it.
The law doesn't care. You know, it's kind of like gravity. Gravity doesn't care if you believe it or not. You
Right.
know, like gravity just happens, you know, and the law of cause and effect, very much the same. It just is. So, you know, the law of mind is that same way, whatever we're putting out, whether it's our energy, our emotions, our thoughts, our words, all of this is creative. That's why it's so important, I think, to pay attention to the frequency we are bringing to every interaction.
Oh, absolutely. Yes,
Because
absolutely.
we have the power to raise it,
Right?
or not,
Yes. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And that's so much happening in this world. I think that this is the time period to really pay attention and raise the vibration, raise the frequency.
It seems to me, now I have not lived for hundreds of years, so I can only go by my experiences to date. It seems to me that the times that we're in right now, in this illusion that we're having the experience with
Yes.
right now, is a deep, deep call for us to recognize that we are creating everything we experience, everything. The person that comes up and says something uncaring or mean to us, we call that in. And that's a difficult thing right now for a lot of people to accept.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to accept it
It's
because
hard to accept. that
it
we're
is because when you
even
feel so much.
collectively,
Yes.
right? That's where we're at. This is the collective consciousness that has called this in right now.
Yes.
And we're part of that.
Yeah. So my belief is that because we have all of this information coming available to us through the internet and so on and so forth, is really a timing for us to really open our eyes and recognizing we're calling this in. Each one of us is calling this in.
Mm-hmm.
When I was younger, before I before I recognized the reality of this for me, I would sit and think, well, so why is it that some people experience some things and I don't experience it? And why is it I experience some things and they don't experience it? And I've realized the answer is because I'm calling it in, they aren't, or they're calling it in and I'm not.
Right. And that is such a mind shift.
Oh,
You
big,
know,
big.
like when you realize that, again, that you are responsible for the frequency you put out. And these frequencies are built from your beliefs, from your thoughts, through your actions, through your words. This is what consciousness is.
Correct.
And we create that. And so, before I knew about this as well, as a teenager, my mom didn't like some of the people I hung out with.
Mm-hmm.
And, be like, if you hang out with so-and-so, everybody's going to think you're like her. And then there was a book a couple of years ago, maybe a decade ago now, called The 5 People.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like,
yes.
it was about the 5 people. Was it the 5 people you meet in heaven, or
Yes,
something
yes,
like that?
yes, something like that.
And there's even a thing about the 5 people you hang out with most. Like, this is your core people. This is who, whether you liked it or not. This is who's feeding your frequency, and you're feeding theirs.
That's right.
And I didn't get it as a teenager when my mother was like, "Don't hang out with these people." But now, as a parent, I saw it, and as a grandparent, I saw it,
Mm-hmm.
and watched it develop, and I was like, wow, that, just good old fashioned knowledge, that our parents said, no, don't hang out with the bad kids, because
Right.
you'll become a bad kid.
Right.
Oh, okay, Now, somebody had to teach the bad kids, but that's a different sermon.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know about that one right now. So, but yeah, because you find your normal, right? I think that's what we search out. We were talking earlier about finding people of a higher frequency and
Mhm.
how that comes to us, right? Because we find our normal,
Right.
where we're vibrating at.
Right.
And then, as you start to grow and develop, if your group of people aren't growing and developing, you will find yourself arguing. You will find yourself not being invited to things.
Mm-hmm.
You'll find yourself being a little lonely or isolated from people you thought were your best friends.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because you're growing.
That's right.
You're
Your
growing.
frequency is
Your
changing,
frequency
no
is
longer
changing.
aligns.
And that can be hard.
Yes.
So there's another place for self-compassion as we learn that we're growing
Right.
in a different direction. Somebody needed to hear that, because that's not happening in my life, but that came up for me. So somebody needed to hear that,
Yeah.
that that's not about, that is about you, but it's in a good way. It's,
It really is.
it might
Yeah.
not feel so good, but it will. So, just have some compassion for yourself as you grow and as you start to spread your wings on that. You can't hang out with the caterpillars once you become a butterfly.
I remember years ago, Abraham Hicks said that when you are focusing on living consistently in higher frequencies, you're on the leading edge.
Mm-hmm.
And the leading edge is very narrow
Yes.
and can be very lonely.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And it can be. That's a really, a brave place to go, because a lot of people stay stuck
It is, yeah.
in order to be comfortable,
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
in order to not lose what they have, right? Because what is fear? Fear is losing something I have or not getting something I want, right? This is why we get afraid.
Right.
And, if I am somebody who is enjoying the experience of having a social group, a friend group, and then all of a sudden it starts to get smaller or it starts to feel uncomfortable, I would have a fear of losing something
Right.
that I have, that I enjoy. And now it's changing. And I think a lot of people today really do have a remember when mentality. I didn't want it to change. Lord knows I have a few things that I didn't want to change. Like, I used to have a different body shape.
Right.
I used to have a different face.
Mhm.
there are a lot of things I didn't want to change, but I do know that I can't go back,
Right.
right? I can only go forward in how I operate in the world. So that means I take better care of this body. I take better care of my thoughts. I take better care of who I am and the people I love, right? I don't let that go by the wayside because I'm worried or I want it to be, 1989.
Right.
So,
I'd like to shift our conversation just a little bit to something you said. I'd like to talk about this concept of being comfortable.
okay.
It appears to me that part of being in this human experience is finding comfort.
Sure.
There have been times in my life when I've heard others talk about don't let yourself get too comfortable. And it would trigger me. And so I went through years of going, okay, well, I'm just resisting this. And then over time, I began to recognize, for me, thinking of it from a higher level, if I came into this being, if my consciousness came into, or the consciousness of the Creator came into creating this being that desires comfort, then that's not wrong. And then I began to realize when times in my life when I would begin to feel uncomfortable, that was because it was time for change.
Right.
It's the discomfort that brings on the desire and the openness to change. Now, it's a different level for each of us, how much discomfort we're going to put ourselves through, and we do put ourselves into that position before we then relax into the shift and the change and become comfortable with it.
I love that. I love that yes, that's a great shift because I think we do concentrate on saying things like comfort zone, get out of your comfort zone, versus acknowledging the discomfort that happens or the uncomfortability that we're in and moving from that. Because you're right, that is when I want to change. That is when I become uncomfortable, when I have discomfort, it is generally because I have a new longing, a new desire, not because I've decided that the comfort that I'm in, I shouldn't stay in.
Exactly.
Right?
That's the point I was trying to get
Yeah.
to. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I love to be comfortable in relationships and jobs and as I sit here on the sofa, yes, right? And if any of those things become at a level of discomfort or uncomfortability, then I have to question, what is it that I'm longing for
Exactly.
to move forward?
Yes.
That should be your decision, not an outside force.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
that's I think is so important.
I do too.
Because it's not outside forces that can change us.
Mhm.
I
wish.
You've had experiences in recovery,
Mhm.
and I have too. And the first thing that they tell you is you can't do this for somebody else.
Right?
It will not work trying to do
No
this because
human power.
That's right.
No human power, and so many wives, mothers, husbands, girlfriends, boyfriends, children, why can't they get sober? Why can't they get clean? Why can't they be something different for me?
That's right.
Yes, because no human power could relieve our addiction, whatever
Exactly.
that is. But that's the truth. That is one of the high truths.
Yes.
That's a high truth of recovery and world in general, regardless of what it is, addiction or anything else.
That's right.
Right? We can only do for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I will admit, I don't change until I am uncomfortable. What's the point?
Exactly.
Why do I have to if things are good?
Exactly.
If things feel good, why? But there are people that are a little restless, and that's a whole different, again, a different day on the sofa.
Right.
But there are people who feel only comfortable being uncomfortable. You remember those people. The people that complain, the people that are like, restless, they're always moving and whatever. That's their comfort zone.
It really is, yes.
Like it took a long time for me to get that when I would be in that. Like it's something
Yes.
that I have in my makeup that I was like, well, wait a minute. This is how I process when I'm when I'm angry, I clean. But I don't like cleaning any other time. You know what I mean? So like my comfortability factor, if you come to my house and it's clean, guess what? I've been pissed off. Like that's how it goes, right? So I think there's things to that to realize that each individual has their own way of dealing with their comfort zones or uncomfortable zone, and how we move forward in that. And then again, I love that you talked about self-compassion because I didn't go there on it. My gosh, that is so important.
Oh, yeah.
So important to have compassion for ourselves. Because
Everything we
beat
do
ourselves.
has to do with ourselves.
Yes.
We know no other way to be in this experience without it all being about self.
Right.
Now, like you said before, self is all of us, it's oneness. However, the way this brain works is it has to begin with self first.
Right. This individuation.
Yes.
And when it does, what a beauty it becomes because it's so much easier then to bring that forward to others.
Yes.
Right? Because then, especially compassion, because then I get it. I get why you're angry. I get why you're feeling lonely or frustrated or whatever, because I've experienced it inside of it. I think there's the big thing, right? Compassion has a lot of empathy to it, where it's like, I get you because I've experienced it too.
Yes.
And, that is where bonding happens a lot of the times, trauma bonding, but bonding nonetheless.
Yeah.
That, we say, oh, that feeling, I know what that feels like in my heart. So I open my heart to you because you have that experience as well. So that there's that, and it doesn't have to be the same experience for the feeling to be the same.
Yes.
That I really did learn in recovery. Like I would hear people talk about, from being abused as a child to being in prison, right? I didn't have either one of those experiences, but what I heard about was abandonment and isolation and not feeling loved, right? So when I heard those things, those feelings, I could identify with.
Yeah.
And that's where compassion starts with, right? Is that identification inside ourselves for another.
I was reading something this week, and they were talking about. I focus a lot on energy and frequency, obviously, and they were. This person was talking about love because it was going into Valentine's Day, obviously, and started talking about love and the human concepts of love. And what stuck with me most was when he was saying that the frequency of love that we then become aware of and feel and express that with someone else, what we're really doing is we're not loving them, we're not loving the person, but what we're doing is we are igniting that same frequency within them. Same happens with hatred, with judgment, with racism.
Right.
Everything that we are projecting out, it is igniting within that person the same frequency.
Yes.
And when that hit me, I went, oh my goodness, I just got chills. I went, wow, that makes it so much more important for me to be constantly, consistently aware of my thoughts and what I'm putting out there.
Right. Very great. And that's where we talk about being conscious,
Yes.
right? Like on purpose, present.
Right.
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 There's this app called Marco Polo, and it's kind of like a video text app. And so this is how my daughter and I communicate. And so I generally do it while driving. I have a little thing in my car and I just do it. And I was telling her something and then I went away. Don't even know where I went, but then I realized I went away and I was like, okay, so this is what happens with older people. And she said it was really funny because I saw it happen. Like she could see it happen that I just, consciously went away, and I'm just like driving, like, and I think about that. How many times do I do that in life? Right?
Exactly.
I mean, I was absolutely aware of driving, but we do that unconsciously. I mean,
Yes.
I don't care
Yes.
who you are. You like sometimes arrive wherever you were going because you've done it so much by route that and you're like, man, I don't even remember getting here.
Right.
Right? And I think that a lot of times life goes on autopilot for me, and then I get caught in a reaction because I wasn't paying attention to what I was experiencing. And, when cancer came back, I told myself that wasn't going to be my way anymore, because I know that this happens for me, right? So I was like very conscious of being conscious. Like I wanted to be present for everything, everywhere, like feel it all. Because I'm telling you, there's nothing like a little scare, a health scare to make you go, ooh, I have life. I need life, and paying attention to my life. But then because now I'm 6 years out, or almost 7. So life went on. Right? The first year I was very grabbing life by the short ones and just being there. And then the next year, it was not as much grabbing, but I was still present, and as I moved forward, and now, okay, this is what life is. And I forget. And I don't want to forget.
Yeah.
And I don't want something to make me remember.
Exactly.
I'm tired of the 2x4.
Yeah.
I want to remember because that is who I am. That is who you are. That is who you are. That is who you are. This conscious, divine individuation of glory as this person here to give God a good time. And I forget.
And that is the gift and the blessing, though, is the returning to remembering. That became very clear to me in this life. That is the reason why we keep forgetting, because that's
this is why I have you on the sofa. She heals me.
That's the climax.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
That is the climax of life.
the climax of life.
Exactly. And because I'm more aware of that, I have more compassion for myself when I do forget. And that compassion is what I realize has shifted the things that come in my life to remind me they're not as drastic. They're not as dramatic.
Right.
They're not as challenging.
Right. Yeah. Today it's plantar fasciitis versus stage 4 cancer.
So
I'm appreciative.
Exactly. But like for instance, you brought up driving. My grandson,
Which I can't believe he's driving.
I know, 18. He got his driver's license because he took a class for it. My daughter and I bought him a class for it to do it. And because of the person that he is, I'll just say he lives with the feeling of anxiety a lot. And so even though he got his driver's license, he has been too fearful of driving. So he hasn't been doing it. So he's not allowed to drive. So my daughter and I decided that we were going to start spending time with him practicing. And boy, you're right. To sit with someone who doesn't know really anything, no matter what he learned in this driving class, doesn't really know anything about really how to be conscious and present and pay attention to everything that's going on. And on top of it, not get so stuck in his head that his spots start reeling and have more of a feeling for the movement of the car and the way it the way you manage it, and stuff, the way the brakes feel, the way the grass.
Right, it becomes an extension of you
Exactly,
as you're driving.
And to sit in next to him and have to put myself in that place of thinking that again was like, wow, it takes a lot to drive.
It sure does. It does.
And I do it remotely.
Right. We just do it. Like it's nothing. And when I first learned how to drive stick, a manual, I had learned on automatic, and then I had a car accident and my car was totaled, and my boyfriend, soon to be husband, let me use his truck. It was manual. So he had to teach me how to drive stick, which is not an easy thing.
No, it's not.
And I would happen to tell you that while I have coordination of walking, making one foot do one thing and another foot do another thing, though while I'm doing this was a little more than I was prepared for. And as long as I got to third gear, I was good. But man, 1, 2,
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, the
Lordy.
first two. Yeah.
I had a sign in the back of the truck that said, "New driver will roll." Because on my way to work, there was this hill that stopped you at a stoplight,
Yes.
which I could stop, but now it turns green, and I got to make these 4 things move at the same time while making a left-hand turn.
Yeah.
It was bad. You have one?
Well, I grew up in a small town, so learning to drive was pretty easy because we were out in the sticks. But as I got older, my dad wanted me to help him with his delivery routes, and he had a 4-on-the-floor stick shift truck. So we had one stoplight in town, and I had to time it so that I was far enough away that I could see the stoplight turn green, so I could run through that. And then when I bought my first car, it was a stick. And I was going to the University of Arizona at the time, and I don't know if you've ever been on the highway that goes from Globe to Tucson. I forget what it's called, but it winds down into a canyon and then it winds back up out of the canyon. And I got stuck behind a 10-wheeler one day, and I was in this 4-on-the-floor, fearing that I was going to be smashed between these 2 vehicles because I couldn't get the coordination going. I was like, if I ever prayed, that was then. But I understand what your grandson is going through, because I'm at a point now where I cannot drive the freeway because I don't feel like I have the awareness or so I haven't driven the freeway ever for the last 5 years, just because I take surface streets, which is why it takes me longer to get places.
Right.
So I understand, and I have great empathy for that because it's not an easy thing to overcome.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've driven the freeway many times, but I haven't done it for 5 years.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I understand. I totally understand. So,
I get that too.
I drove motorcycles for years,
Oh, Lord.
and learning on a motorcycle. Now, I had driven for a long time on stick shift, so I was very comfortable with that. And thank God I was, because that did help. But then bring in the aspect of now you've got to be concerned
Balance.
about your balance.
Yeah.
Because when you stop those wheels, guess what? If your feet aren't down and you aren't solid, that machine goes.
Dakota and I did take classes to learn how to ride motorcycles, and I was able to make it and stop it, and that was it. Yeah, because I had a fear that this would not be. Now I can ride on the back. I can fall asleep on the back, which the person trying to balance you, they're not real happy about that when you fall asleep behind them. Yeah, that's not a good thing. Just, but my daughter's the same way. She falls asleep on the back of the bike, so yeah. Yeah, and we're big girls. You don't want us to fall asleep on the back of the bike. Oh, it's ridiculous on the way. Yeah, but anyway, back to compassion. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did post in So for Sundays, I did a holy shift on compassion, and I said when is the master key. It unlocks rooms my judgment could never enter.
Yeah.
And, when we were thinking about that, and we were talking about this, opening doors to greater understanding, I have just recently been to Dream Builder, which is Mary Morrissey's
expansion, like entry level expansion on building your dreams. And one of the things she talks about is doorknobs. Okay. So that it was a presence thing. Like every time she touched a knob, and now I can't remember what her comment was on that, but it was a presence thing that every time she touched a knob, like what door am I opening? Where am I at? Kind of like where are your feet?
Yeah.
One of those presence things that when you did it, you knew that you were in your body.
Right.
And I think that when it comes to compassion, when it comes to awareness, our fears being alleviated, or even just the self-compassion, as we're talking about, coming back, beginning within, getting back in to who we are, is the biggest thing we can do for ourselves.
Yes, absolutely.
It really is. Like, it's so easy to be so concerned about the outside stuff. And, we are consciousness informed. So the outside stuff is already in.
Right.
Right? Like, so everything
Right.
that's happening out there, like we were talking about, like, we're part of that frequency. And that frequency is part of us. So I get the wanting or the desire or the, ability to be all in this outside thing, whatever it is, news, your personal life, social media, cheerleading, whatever. That's still part of you, right? So this aspect that we are is, there's no real defining, this isn't me.
Correct.
Right? So this is, we are one. So what can you bring to that is where we really want to go.
Mhm.
What we're going to bring to
Mhm.
that. And some people know that they're going to bring not good energy.
Yeah.
And they desire that.
Exactly.
That's their desire. That's their longing. That's how they're growing and learning whatever it is they need to grow and learn. And I judge that. Sure, I do. I'll be honest. That's a judgment call on mine. And again, they judge me, right? They see something different when they see my actions, right? So we all have to be okay with other people acting the way they act. And I don't mean like, okay, it's okay that you did it. I mean, okay, that other humans have different choices than us, right? That is something, and I don't know that it matters what kind of religion you're in, but one of the things is, you hear in standard religion, sorry, in the standard religion, but why would God allow evil?
Mhm.
That's a big question. Why did God allow all this stuff to happen? And here is where I think we really need to be clear that you are God. And why did you allow it? Because people have a choice. Every individual has a choice and is responsible for the energy they bring to this world. Mm-hmm. And they're responsible for the energy around them, regardless, right? Do I like the choices that some other individuals have made? I absolutely do not. So what is my choice in the energy that I can bring? Love, compassion, stand up for those that are victims of situations, be active where I can, where I feel safe. It's a hard time.
It is.
It's a hard time, and there's so much confusion. There's confusion on why I'm not even questioning God on this. I'm questioning humans.
Absolutely.
I'm questioning other humans on that. And so where I say judgment won't let me in the door, sometimes I need to remember that.
Right.
All right, soapboxing again.
I'm you know that I'm in alignment with it.
Yes.
When the piece, the part in the Bible says that we are made in the image and likeness of God. Metaphysically, it means that we are the extension of God.
Yes.
We are creations. We are creators. That's all there is.
That's right.
There's nothing else to be said.
Right.
So yes, that God energy that we talk about is me and you and all of us, because I am you and you are me. I think the biggest challenge that humanity goes through is recognizing there is no such thing as separation. No such thing as separation. And this whole talk about compassion and how that opens the door for us to recognize and experience that connectedness, that unity, is the beginning of understanding that we are not separated from the original source, whatever that is. Maybe there isn't an original source, but there's no other way for us in our conscious awareness in this human body to not try to pinpoint
Right.
some beginning.
Right.
So we choose to label it as something like God, the universe, any other
Infinite
term.
field of possibility.
Exactly, any other term that we want to come up with because of the way that we communicate and understand the way we communicate. However, there may not be any beginning because there's no ending.
Right. So if it's infinite, no beginning, no end.
Exactly.
We'll get you into quantum worlds here. But that was actually, speaking of quantum consciousness, that was actually the question this week in my consciousness studies was, if why was mankind created, if indeed mankind was created? Yeah, still working on the answer to that, though, James. But that extension of the original source energy, that light, that is who we are, that light. And, things happen in ways that, we were talking about this before we came online, was that things happen in ways to help us grow. So things happen in my individuation life to help me grow, to see, what my part of life is, that experience. And some of them I don't like, but did I grow from them? Absolutely, because hindsight is wonderful, right? I really do wish that I had more of a concept of, time not being so linear, so that I could look at my future self and hear her tell me that, yes, all those things you went through, it's so that you can be blah, 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 whatever that was that, this takes me to, and I would be okay. But currently, there's pain. Currently, there's discomfort. As we talked about it earlier, there's that discomfort, and I have a longing for something different. And in order to go that direction, there's some steps there. I'm not there yet. And I don't like the waiting room. I'm not a fan, And as I'm saying this, and that's why I have to sit down more often. Because I'm not a fan of waiting.
Something just lit
Yes.
up.
It's like every time there's a pain that I can't move forward, physically walking, move forward, I'm starting to realize that is part of the thing. Because I don't like waiting, so I won't sit down long enough to hear and be aware of clarity and what the next step is, because I keep stepping forward before I know. So,
I don't know how we how are we doing on time?
Oh, I don't even know. It's 12:05. We got some time. Did you have
I think I'm coming to realize that if I don't pay attention, my body will.
something?
Yes.
I've been having a lot of physical issues
Oh my gosh, I'm
lately.
writing that down.
But one of the things that suddenly occurred to me was that I've become much more compassionate about, for lack of a better word, mental health. I had I had spent a lot of years in therapy in my younger years, a lot, I mean like 15 years. And I had a family that didn't really think it was just a bunch of bogus, old BS. But I just kept going because I had to do it, and now I'm much better. But then I see things like, I could never understand why anybody could have a panic attack. It just was above my ability until I had my first one, and all of a sudden, oh, I get it now. I will never ever make fun. I never made fun of anybody, but I could not accept it. So now I understand what my family was going through. When my sister the other day said to me, I don't understand why I have such anxiety. I said, well, now you know how I feel when you guys would say that to me. But so I think the older I get, the more I realize that it was all put in my face, so I could have more compassion for people in the future. But there are other things now that my body is telling me that I need to wake up and listen to it. The 2x4 is, well, it's starting to hit me. But the 2x4 is going to hit me even harder if I don't pay attention.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that compassion can be learned. if nothing else, it can be learned.
It can be learned right, by the 2x4. Yeah.
Right.
A question came in my mind as you were talking. What about if this life is not about growth at all? What if this life is just about experiencing movement and changes?
Large changes growth.
They can be.
That's
right?
they can be.
Yeah.
But is it necessary for change to always be about growth?
No.
To
Right?
me,
I think you can have lateral growth.
to me the word growth indicates that there's something lacking.
Gotcha. So you're saying life be about experiences,
Exactly.
and it doesn't necessarily have to be
Exactly.
Growth.
Yeah, it just
Yeah.
life provides more all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Not because it's lacking, just because
Because
it's
it's
just
life.
always more, because it's life.
maturity.
So there's a, to me, there's a psychological thing there that sometimes happens. It's happened. I just realized sitting here talking, it's happening with me when I was talking earlier. I don't remember what I was saying, but something about that it triggered me because I'm like, that doesn't feel right to me. Oh, the comfort zone,
Mhm.
about being in the comfort zone, because the comfort zone, the way I was hearing it when they say, don't let yourself get comfortable, you need to get out of the comfort zone, was that there was something wrong with it. And that was keeping me from growing. But in reality, what I'm recognizing is that comfort zone allows me to flow through life to experience the changes, no matter what they are.
And it just might be about experience.
Exactly.
Huh.
Exactly.
I can accept that. Actually, that's a lot more comforting to accept that life is about experiences than life is about growth. Because growth sounds hard.
It does. It makes me feel like there's something wrong, something needs to change.
Right. And that, like
But
you said,
change
that there's
doesn't mean
something
anything's
lacking.
wrong. It just
Right.
is life.
It's just life. It's just experience. And it's funny, that when anybody asks me, well, what do you want? Birthdays, holidays, whatever. What do you want? For me, it's not material. I want experience.
Exactly.
Right? And that's the
Yeah.
thing. I want
Yeah.
experience. I would prefer good experience. I'm just going to put that out there. I prefer good experience. But, what if that other parts that I judge as not good experience is just to have experience?
Right.
Okay, I'll take that under advisement. I'll think about it. I'll think about that part. I love
You
it.
won't know if it's good or bad unless you experience it.
Exactly.
And then you'll do it
Exactly.
again. If it wasn't great, you don't do it again.
Right? And that's how I feel about food, so why not?
What, I don't know, they probably couldn't hear that, but can you repeat that? Because I have something to follow up with that.
I said, well, you don't know if experience is good or bad unless you experience it. If you don't like it, you don't do it again. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I wanted to do was kind of bring this back around to compassion. This is the consciousness of compassion, of recognizing within myself that when I think I hear that I'm not enough, whoever's saying what, when I think that I hear that I'm not enough and so I must change, that is not compassion.
No, it's not.
You know, the compassion comes in, okay, I understand where that comes from. Do I feel like I really need to change? Well, I'm always changing, so what's there to worry about? That's that softening,
Right.
you know, of getting into that place of, I love who I am. I love who I'm becoming. I love who I'm going to be. And you know what? I finally loved who I was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's where that real deep compassion comes in, because then I can look at other people and go, oh, I see them going through life. They're just having these experiences. They're having their own experience.
Yeah.
That's where the deepening in the real meaning for me of what unconditional love is. Because compassion has to be there or you're not loving unconditionally.
Absolutely.
And that made me think of when you have an outside observer looking at you and your life, I may think, this is not how I'm thinking right now, but I may think that your life looks perfect and for you it's not. So remember that people observing you thinking, oh, they're just going through life. That's my opinion, not your opinion. So it's like they say, my opinion of you has nothing to do with, is none of your business.
Right.
So, because I know so many people who have said, man, that they had a perfect life and then they got a divorce. Well, obviously you didn't live in their shoes,
Right.
or you wouldn't have known, or you would have known. So that's why I have to think that I have to be who I am. And if people don't like it, oh well, tough toenails,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
That's one of the, that's a tough toenails. Love it. That's a recovery thing too. Never compare your insides with someone else's outsides.
Right.
Right? Like how you're feeling by what you think you see. So we are at that time.
Okay.
And I do have an experience for us. So I'm going to take us out with the experience. Okay. So the first thing we're going to think of, and close your eyes if you feel comfortable with that, is to picture a door. Whatever kind of door that looks good to you. I'm a fan of big wood ones myself. You know, just picture that door and notice it. And that's the trigger. That's whatever it is that is causing you to feel something different than you were, that you judge as being not acceptable to you as a feeling. And now that we have this door, we're going to put our hand on our heart. We're going to breathe into that. And we're going to ask, what is this hurt? What is this pain? What is this thing that I'm experiencing? Or this person who is having that experience that is affecting me? And now as we breathe into that, we're going to bring love to that unconditional love, that peace. And we ask, what is that hurt? And as we ask that, we're going to open this door. Compassion is going to be the key that unlocks this door and brings in that light that we are, that light that the other person or this circumstance is in fullness. And we're going to breathe into that, knowing and accepting that this too is love. This too is experience. This too is God. And just when you're ready, just come back. Softly open your eyes. And what I wrote here was, compassion reveals what judgment hides. So as we open up to that compassion, we will see what it is that we need to see. I'm grateful that you joined us today. I am so grateful that you joined us
It was a
today.
pleasure,
And
always.
yes, I mean, and I can't wait to go to lunch and
I
continue
know.
our conversation.
Another 4
All right,
hours.
yeah, another 4 hours. And thank you for joining us online. And if you'd like to support our ministry, we ask that you go to beginwithinministries.com and you can make a one-time donation or you can become a spiritual church club partner. Now, a church, try that one again. A church club partner receives benefits of being part of our community. Our classes are free. You get these mugs. Here, hold up your mug because I didn't bring my mug out. There you go. You get your mug and you help support this community. We also have these amazing journals. We're in 4.0. We've started our journals. So there are different things that we offer. It's $45 a month for an individual or $75 for a couple or family. So you can find all that information on our website. Also, another amazing way you can help support us is if you are watching us right now on YouTube, like and subscribe. Share this with your friends. Go to our Facebook group, which is under Facebook groups called Sofa Sundays, and you can join there where I must admit, I post every day. So there's something new and exciting from me in the morning every day. So join us there. And thank you so much for being part of our community. We're glad you're here. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. Tune in again next week at 11:11 a.m. Pacific Time, or Monday evening at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. In partnership with New Thought Media Network.